All right, so this is our first unit called Intro to Geometry, and our first lesson is called Naming Lines, Line Segments, and Rays. So this first unit is going to be pretty simple because it's just really getting familiar with how do you write about the objects that we're going to learn in geometry. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is a line segment. A line segment is part of a line, and it's bounded by two distinct endpoints, and it contains every point on the line that is between its endpoints. So just because I have a point at Y, at U, and at J, there's also points all in between here, between these lines, but they don't have labels. Okay, but if I'm going to name this line, you have to use two letters. Okay, so I don't know if you want to make a mark of that. You have to use two letters to name it, and you want to pick the endpoints. I don't like that color. So the endpoints on this would be Y and J. So I could call this YJ, and you would put a little line segment above it, or you could call it JY, and you need to put that line segment symbol above it. So these two options would work. You couldn't just say one letter because one letter is actually a point. You could not say YU because that would mean the segment stops from here to here. You need to give it from end to end because this line segment actually has a length. Like we could put a ruler up to it and measure it. So if we called it YU, it's no longer the same segment. Okay, so those are your only two options. I don't feel like my colors are showing up very good. Okay, next one is a line. So it's not a segment, it's a line. It's a straight, one-dimensional figure having no thickness, and it extends infinitely in both directions. So that's what these arrows on the ends mean here, is that it will keep going forever and ever in both directions. Okay, so again, we have to name it with two letters, because one letter is really just representing a point. I don't know why this looks blurry to me. That's better. Okay, and then we don't have to use endpoints because this is a line that would keep going. Like if I were to just call this line NU or UN, that's fine because that's the same thing as what this whole line would be. Because we can't measure the length of this line since it goes on forever. So it could start and stop wherever. So we could call this UN or NU or AU or UA or AN or NA. Any combination of two letters on the line is fine. Now, the symbol you put above the letters is a line with an arrow on each side. So it'd be line UN, line NU, line AU. You get the point. Okay, so a segment, you have to use the two endpoints. And then a line is any two letters. Abbreviate. Endpoints. Okay, and then the last thing we need to talk about is array. Array is part of a line that has one endpoint and then it goes infinitely in only one direction. So the endpoint here would be this point. You have to start with the endpoint. So start with endpoint. Okay, so then that would be P. You could either call this PG, because again, since this has an arrow, that means this line keeps going forever. So PG would be the same as PC, because there's no way to measure these since it goes on forever. So PG or PC. And then array would it's always gonna point to the right. You'll never see the symbol where it goes to the left. That's never gonna happen. I think on your homework assignment, they'll try to trick you with that. No, the array always goes to the right. So it should always be endpoint out, endpoint out. So let's say it was this. It would be A, B, going that way. Okay, and that's it.